If I'm working with someone one-on-one, I am their only source of certainty. They hired me, but at the end of the day, they have no other source of certainty besides what I tell them. Whereas when we get someone in a group program, now they get to hear those people that are in week 6 and week 7 celebrating their wins, talking about all the success that they had, creates this incredible group dynamic that I think actually gets better results because now there's so much more certainty.
What I didn't see coming was the partnerships that we're going to form within my group, whether that's business partnerships, best friendships, just the relationships that they started to form with each other that continue to this day.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Russ with another banger interview for you guys today. As you know, the focus of this channel is to pull back the curtain and reveal what we've learned from over $100 million in high-ticket coaching sales over the years. So what that means is that sometimes I'm going to bring on some of our favorite clients to talk to you and share with you their strategies and what's working now for them, what's not working. So it's going to be a really big, insightful interview that we have for you guys today. So join me in welcoming Michelle Coyle. Michelle, what's going on? How are you?
Hey, Russ, thanks so much for having me on. Hey, everybody.
It's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right, so let's start out. Why don't you tell everybody about your offer stack and the work that you do and your background a little bit so they understand, where this high ticket offer you've got is coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Michelle. I'm a transformational business coach. I started out as a management consultant and layered on lots of mindset onto that. My main program is called Impact Scaling School, and it is designed for anybody who's never had $1 million business before to learn how to build that and get the entrepreneurial skills that they need to be able to build that $1 million business within 8 weeks with me, have that roadmap to do that. I have a whole bunch of other offers around that, but that's the main one that I designed with COT. So that's probably what we should talk about today. Yeah.
That's awesome. So the outcome is like, well, we're going to help you get everything you need together to at least have a roadmap to scale your business to the 7-figure mark. Not that, necessarily we're going to hit $1 million in 8 weeks, but that we're going to give you the roadmap to get there. And you're going to have a step-by-step game plan to do that, right?
Right. And you're going to know how to do that so that if you want to go and apply that same skill set to a different business down the line, you're going to know how to do that no matter what kind of business you're doing.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about your background and kind of where you come from.
Okay. Well, I was born in Lawton, Oklahoma. No, professionally, I started out in politics as a field organizer. So that's the person who knocks on all the doors and makes all the phone calls and says, are you voting for my guy? Will you come volunteer? Just bugs people professionally, which was fantastic training for all business and all sales for the rest of my life because you want to talk about rejection. People hate getting political phone calls and political people at their door. And that's all I did. And then organized other people to do that. From there, I went to start making political ads. And then when I got pregnant with my first son and decided I needed to make more money than being a political consultant was going to pay, I went to business school. So I thought, hey, I'll get all the way out of politics. I'll do something completely different. That is not how things turned out because I graduated with my MBA from Dartmouth in 2009, right into the recession. If you'll recall, 2009 was not a fantastic time for anybody, was not a fantastic time for MBAs. MBAs were being blamed for the entire issue, the entire economic collapse. And lots of people that got job offers were being rescinded. People were moving back in with their parents. This was unheard of, right? Like the class before me, people had 20 different job offers. This is an Ivy League business school that, they're just trying to figure out who's going to give me the most money and what's going to be and then my class comes out and people are moving back in with mom. It was rough. So I ended up coming back to DC and working in political agencies, like political ad agencies and doing political marketing work, but realizing that those businesses weren't functioning particularly well as businesses. That is when I started saying, hey, where I can be the most valuable is actually to teach people how to efficiently run their business, right? There's lots of amazing political strategists running around Washington, D.C. I'm just one of them. But what nobody's doing is teaching people how to run these businesses effectively, efficiently, so that they can focus, the founders could focus on their zone of genius. And so I really started doing that as a consultancy. And that's probably around the time that I found you. So that was a lot, but what do you want to know? What else do you want to know?
No, I think that's about right. I think that's about right. I know that when you came to us, you were very deep in the political consulting world, and then you wanted to switch to showing people that were in that world how to run their businesses more efficiently. I remember one of the one of the funniest things that you've ever said to me was I was watching that show House of Cards at the time, and I was like, "Hey, Michelle, you've seen kind of behind the curtain and the way that internal politics work in DC. Is it like House of Cards?" And you were like, "Russ, no, it's not House of Cards. It's Veep."
It's
Like
Veep.
it's
Yeah.
straight up like it's just total chaos. It's everybody freaking out all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
So and so tweeted this, and now everyone's freaking out about it. And I just thought
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. I thought that was amazing.
It's so
So
true. It's so true.
yeah,
I mean, you got a bunch of crazy nerds that don't fit in anywhere else come to DC.
right. All right. So you decide that you want to create this consultancy, and then you found your way to clients on demand,
Yeah.
and we helped you turn that into like a structured program. So I think I
Yeah.
think when you first came to us, if I remember correctly, you didn't quite have the program quite nailed down yet, right?
No, I didn't have any kind of a program. I was teaching the same, like clients, the same stuff over and over, but I was doing it all one on one. And so it was like, oh, I have a client. Okay, what do you need? Okay, I'll teach you this. And it was very like one off. It wasn't structured. I was making, on a good month, maybe 8K a month, 10K a month. Like I was doing okay. I hadn't quite replaced my salary yet, but I was getting close to it. But I wasn't doing anything like the numbers that I started doing once I started working with you guys.
Right. Yeah. 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 Nice. All right. So we put this
Spoiler
together
alert.
into this. Yeah, we put this together into this high ticket program,
Yeah.
and it was somewhere between 5K and 10K, I think. Right? It
It
wasn't
was
higher
a,
than that.
I want to say at the time it was like, yeah, 8K or 9K or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So all right. So that's important because I think a lot of people think, well, before I go work with Russ or before I go work with COD, I need to have my high ticket offer all mapped out and all my
No.
ducks in a row. And I always tell them, like, no, you don't, because we need to help you figure that part out. Like, you can't go out there and build some whole program in a vacuum with completely wrong positioning, completely the wrong target audience, like no clear outcome. And then coming to us with that is actually going to make things a lot harder than if we just like take the knowledge out of your brain and turn it into something that actually works from day one.
Absolutely. And I came in knowing I needed that. I mean, I knew enough from going to business school that what I was doing wasn't going to scale. It was just literally me working with people one on one, and there's only one me, and there's only so many hours in the day. And when I heard about you guys and what you were doing, I thought, okay, this is going to be a way that I can put together something that can scale, that has an economy of scale, where because I'm teaching so much of the same stuff over and over and over to people and just repeating myself all day long, wouldn't it be easier if I could figure out a different way to deliver this information all at once? And then we could spend our one on one time actually diving into the individual nuances.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are nervous about making that transition from one-on-one coaching to group coaching. And I think part of that is just because, well, that's sort of the way we've always done it. But in most of the people that I talk to, Michelle, it comes from a really valid concern, right? Like if you're a therapist and you got tons of experience, but you've always worked with people one-on-one, deep down you might even admit to yourself, well, hell, I'd like to do this in a group setting because that's obviously more efficient, but will I get worse results for my clients? So when people come to us and they've got that concern, I always give them props first and foremost, because I'm like, obviously your heart's in the right place, right? You know that you could maybe, by transitioning to a group program, make your stuff more efficient. But if it means that your clients and your patients aren't going to get as good of results as they were before, you're not willing to do it. And I'm like, right there, that tells me that you're a good person. But when you made that transition from sort of a one-on-one situation to a group situation, tell us what happened in terms of the results.
The results got better, and part of that transition from one to many was also a transition from a consultant to a coach. Because when I was working with everybody one on one, our time was really taken up in the delivery of, okay, this is the subject matter we need to talk about. This is what you need to know. And it was me telling you, right? Like you have a problem in your business, I'm just telling you how to fix it. And that's our hour, right? Versus when we put a group program together, the telling you how to fix it part, the informational part, that's all in recordings. You can access that on your own time. And when we have one on one time together, now I can coach you through the problems that are coming up, the blocks that are coming up, the mindset stuff, any individual questions or problems that you have. And so you're actually getting much better results that way. The client is able to get a lot more resources from me and from now us, my team, because we're doing it this way than I could have ever delivered to them when I was just working one on one in a consulting capacity.
Yeah, and that's what we found too, because what happens is it creates this group dynamic where you've got, let's say we've got a bunch of people who are in the program already, and you got a guy coming in, and he's just starting on week 1, and then, he's on that Q&A call with people that are like in week 6, week 7. If I'm working with someone one-on-one, I am their only source of certainty, right? Like they hired me and they're like, hey, Russ, I hope this works. And I could be meeting with this person in my office or whatever. But at the end of the day, they have no other source of certainty besides what I tell them. Whereas when we get someone in a group program, maybe they're coming on the Q&A call and they're in week 1, and there's other people on the Q&A that are in week 7. Now they get to hear those people that are in week 6 and week 7 celebrating their wins, talking about all the success that they had. So it creates this incredible group dynamic that I think actually gets better results because now there's so much more certainty. And I know that when you're building a business, it's lonely enough, but a lot of our clients have businesses where they're helping people save their marriage, or they're helping people overcome infidelity, or they're helping people deal with these problems that, like, when you're in the grip of that, it can feel like you're all alone, like no one else on the planet has this problem. And so when people come into a group program and they see, oh my God, there's 20, 30, 40 other people that are in the same boat that I'm in, I think it's so powerful because it shows you, oh man, there's nothing wrong with me. Like other normal people are going through the same problem, and and I'm not alone. And then you could create accountability partnerships and support groups and just all kinds of other stuff. So, I definitely think that that's true, that the group programs get a better outcome. And then the upshot for you is that you probably freed up a lot of your time too.
I freed up a lot of my time and I started enjoying my job a lot more because I wasn't having to just teach the same stuff over and over and over. That part was in the recorded content. I was getting to really dig into the meat with people. Plus, we were able to get deep, go into the coaching side. And then the community that I built just became the most special thing to me. It just became so close to my heart. Because I was expecting, okay, yeah, the group accountability and the group, oh, you see somebody else doing it, and now that you can do it. Like I knew that was going to happen. What I didn't see coming was the partnerships that we're going to form within my group. Whether that's business partnerships, best friendships, just the relationships that they started to form with each other that continue to this day. I just saw a selfie pop up on my feed from 2 of my clients that had been in my mastermind together like 6 or 7 years ago, and one of them was visiting the other in Seattle, and they took a selfie together and put it up. And it just like, that's the kind of thing where it's just like, I didn't realize that I was actually going to be helping facilitate these lifelong friendships, these lifelong relationships. And it's so cool. Don't you have like COD babies that have been born because people met in your
We
program?
do. We have, yeah.
I don't have
So
that yet, but
yeah, 2 of my clients, Ilka and Frankie, actually met in the program, and they met in the program and they got married, and I think they've got 2 kids now or 3 kids now. But yeah, so those are little babies that exist. I mean, obviously, results not typical. Don't think you're going to come into my program and meet the love of your life, although it might happen. And then just recently, another guy, Kevin, met someone who was in one of our masterminds, and then they just got married too. So it keeps
amazing.
happening, you
That's
know.
amazing. Well, I think it's so important to be in community with like-minded people. And when I was hanging out with you guys, and I eventually joined Millionaire Alliance, and just met the coolest people in there, and it's like, I love you, and I loved all the other coaches that we were working with, and that was amazing. And the other people were amazing, and I'm still friends with a lot of those people to this day. It's really cool how that happens. I think it's so important, especially for entrepreneurs, to be in community because it's such a difficult road that other people don't understand. And you've got so many entrepreneurs. I don't know if you've noticed this. I've noticed a lot of my clients that are risk-taking entrepreneurs, they tend to be married to somebody that's a little more cautious. Like we marry our opposites.
One partner is always the gas, and one partner is always the brakes.
Right. And so they've
Yeah.
got, at home, the brakes is going, I don't know, I don't understand. Or like, maybe you should just get a job or whatever. They've got family, friends saying the same thing. A lot of their friends are working salary jobs, and people just don't get it. Right. Even when you get to that point where you're making, 6 figures a month, and people are like, oh, you must have a yacht. And you're like, well, I'm spending it a little bit to make it here. Like, you want to be with other people that understand what's actually going on. And for the mindset, that is so important, especially when you have people in your life saying, why don't you just get a job? Why are you even trying to do this?
I think at the early stages, it's isolating because you may be married to someone who doesn't really understand what it is that you're doing. I
Right.
mean, what we do, Michelle, like having a high ticket coaching business, it seems like magic. Like that someone can click on a Facebook ad and watch a video or watch a webinar and then get on a call with you. And on that call, like 24 hours after clicking your ad, they're investing five or eight or $10,000 to work with you. And then doing that over and over again every day, multiple times per day. That is just outside the realm of reality for normal people, right?
Yeah.
For a normal person, you've got a salary, maybe you make 80K a year, you're shooting for that promotion. If you get that promotion, now maybe you'll be making 96K a year or something like that if you're lucky. So it's like it's 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 just an entirely different world. It's almost like my kids are really into Harry Potter. And it's like you've got your wizard people, and then everyone else are like the muggles. Like I
Right.
feel like people not running an online business. It's
Right.
it's literally almost that degree of difference. Where I remember I was in Vegas with my dad one day, and he was gambling. And I don't like to gamble, but it's kind of fun gambling with my dad because he would like really get into it. Like, hey, yeah, give me a high, low, yo, and a blah blah blah, and like doing all the crap lingo and stuff. And it's like when you're with someone that like is super into something, it makes it more fun. Like
Sure.
like maybe you don't care about football, but like when you're with your buddy who's like obsessed with football, then you can kind of get into it with him.
Yeah.
But he was like, Russ, like, how come you're not super into gambling? And I'm like, Dad, I can send an email and make 50 grand. Like, it's not, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so the
Yeah.
thought of taking a bunch of my money and putting it on a bet where the odds are clearly not in my favor,
Hmm.
it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, why am I doing this when, you've got so much leverage in the business? So I think in the early phases, you've got this situation where you may be with someone who just doesn't really get the reality that you're entering into. It's a radically different level of existence. And I still remember, Michelle, the first day that it came home for me, and this is like way before that I got into high ticket coaching. I had just put I was promoting a product online. I was just doing a little bit of like affiliate marketing, which we don't even do anymore.
Hmm.
But this is when I was like still bartending and first starting out. I remember I was walking through a park in New York with Sarah, who was my girlfriend then, now my wife, and my email notification went off, and it was like ding, and it was like, oh, you just made $197 commission. And I was like, I'm walking through a park in New York with my
Hmm.
girlfriend, and I just made more money than I would make on a bartending shift, like
Yeah.
without doing anything. And that was
Yeah.
the moment where I was like, oh my God, like this is what this feels like to actually have some leverage. I just think normal people, unless you've experienced that, it's so hard for normal people to understand it. And I mean, and that was just a $200 sale, much less a 30K enrollment into your mastermind or 50K enrollment into something else. Like it's a whole different world that I think just sort of doesn't compute for normal people.
Absolutely. And it is work, but it's a totally different kind of work, and the work functions in a totally different way, right? And so in the same way, and I have my own podcast, and thank you for being a recent guest on it, Russ. But in the same way that I can batch record a podcast and I can record, 8 episodes in a day. So I put in one day of work recording 8 episodes of the podcast. Those come out once a week for the next 8 weeks. So for 2 months, I'm not doing any podcast recording, but everybody's still seeing me once a week. And they're like, you're everywhere. You work so hard. You're all, and I'm like, no, man, I spend the morning at the gym every morning. It's like there are some days that I work really hard, but because of the magic of the internet and the way that we can leverage technology now, we don't have to sit chained to our desk all day, every day to make money. And that's really hard for people to get their head around these days.
Yeah. But once you've experienced it, then it, you realize like, oh man, this is just a much smarter way to do it.
Yeah.
Even having a group program versus having one-on-one, like we were talking about, If you've got one-on-one, even if you're, charging a high hourly rate, you're still trading time for dollars. But when you can serve all of your clients in just a few hours per week because you're doing group coaching instead of one-on-one, it just creates a whole new level of freedom in your business, but you still get to make that impact that you were born to make. So there's not really a trade-off there. And I think that's something that, also, people don't understand. So let's talk a little bit about that sales piece, Michelle, because I know you were doing consulting. I think you were charging a pretty good price for the consulting before
Yeah.
we created your group
Yeah, but it
program,
was
right?
like I could have like two clients at once or three clients at once, you know?
Right, right, right. So what about the actual conversation of getting someone on the phone or on Zoom and introducing them to your offer and then saying, "Hey, yeah, that'll be whatever it was, $8,000, please." Like what how much discomfort did you have there and what was that like when you started doing that?
Well, listen, I came in with a sales background, and so I had a little bit of a different because I got tracked into biz dev pretty quick, in politics. So I was selling political marketing stuff for agencies as like the VP of biz dev. Like that was my job title before. Great fun, taking lots of people out for steak, but it's a totally different kind of sales. It's relationship based. It's like, oh, you go and you meet people at a conference and you network, and then you say we should go get a coffee or a drink, or let me buy you a steak, and like then eventually it's how do we work together. So I was comfortable with sales, but the whole like I'm going to get a stranger on the phone and within an hour I'm going to be going through this process and then saying, this is an $8,000 thing, a $10,000 thing by the end of the call. The first time I did that, my heart was pounding because I had never met this person before this phone call. It was like the first time somebody came in from an ad. I was just like, I am going to tell this story. And I don't think I did an amazing job of that sales call, but like definitely my first few clients in my program were people that I already knew and already had relationships with and came in through my warm network. But once I had gotten a little bit of, and it didn't take me very long, Russ, it probably took me about, a couple of weeks or a month of reps because the funnel was bringing in so many calls that I just got so much practice so fast that I remember the first time I enrolled somebody that I had never met before that phone call, and they signed up on the phone call, and it was just like, what? I thought sales was supposed to take weeks or months, and we were nurturing and spending lots of time FaceTime together and really building a relationship. It was insane to me that I could do that at that level with that kind of efficiency and actually form a genuine connection with the person on the call at the same time.
Well, I think that piece is key because I look at the sales training that's out there, right? Like not what we teach, but what other people are teaching. And some of it might actually be really good when it comes to, separating somebody from their credit card, where it's like, here's our little conversation tree. And if they say this, you're going to say this. And if they say
Yeah.
that, then you're going to trap them with this. And then you're going to hit them with this
I
little
hate it. Like
zinger and blah, blah, blah.
ugh.
Right. But I mean, but basically like you're cajoling someone into buying the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if you're selling a car or something where you're probably never going to talk to that person again, that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying it's okay, but it's like I get the logic of it. But if you're selling a coaching program, that is the beginning of the relationship.
Yeah.
And the way you start is the way you finish. So if the beginning of that relationship involved a lot of like browbeating and arm twisting and trapping someone into making a decision that wasn't quite right for them because you just wanted the money, that relationship is toxic from like day one. And now
Yeah.
you still have to deliver your program and spend 8, 10, 12 weeks with that person.
Yeah.
So it's so important that the way that you sell has to really be about helping that person make the best decision for them. And in some cases, that decision is going to be not to join your program, but you can still have a really, really high enrollment rate while doing the sale in a way that supports the person instead of takes away their agency. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That is so important. And I would even say to people, look, I've been a salesperson for my entire career. I could close you if I wanted to, but I'm not here to just close you because then you're going to come into my program and you're going to be a pain in the ass client, frankly. Like if somebody feels like they have been coerced, they're going to show up like this and be like, what do you got to show me? What are you going to teach me? Like this is now not a good relationship for anybody. Them getting a result is less likely. You're going to have to now overcome their objections constantly, just be building rapport constantly. It's just not the situation I want to be in. I like to have fun at work. and it's not the situation I want a client to be in. So it's got to be, hey, I want to understand about you. I want to tell you a little about me. We're just deciding mutually if there's a fit here. And if there's not, that's fine. And if I can deliver you some other type of value on this call, I will absolutely do that. Like, I'm showing up on those calls to serve the person on the other end of the line. And Russ, I have had times, multiple times I can remember in the past few years, where somebody came back to me 2, 3 years later that it wasn't the right time or it wasn't the right fit. And they said, I've never forgotten that phone call we had 2 years ago. And now I want to work with you. And then they became a client. Or I've never forgotten that phone call we had 2 years ago. It changed the whole way I thought about things. Thank you. And maybe they don't become a client. But like, that means so much more to me than just getting, a $10,000 sale.
Well, because you want to be adding value to people at every stage of the process. You want to
Right.
be, it's like, even if I'm talking to someone who clearly isn't a fit for what I do. And by the way, guys, we don't even make an offer to probably 25 to 30% of the
Yeah.
people that we talk to at Clients on Demand, because they're just not ready to have a high ticket program. Whether they're ready to sign up and give us money is a totally different story. We'll be like, yeah, I get that you're ready to sign up. I get you got your credit card in your hand, but like, you are not ready to have a high ticket offer. So we're definitely not going to do this.
I had
And I
one
think
of
that's,
those the other day.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like the guy called, an amazing guy, but I'm teaching people how to create $1 million business, and it's my program is fairly intense. Like, we're going to put the work in for 8 weeks so that you can have your $1 million by the end of the year or in 2 years. I mean, that's a very typical result for my clients. I'm saying that, no, FTC don't come after me. I can substantiate it if you want to, but that is a typical result for my clients. And really, most people that do well with me, they are already entrepreneurs. They already are making, five, $10,000 a month. They've already got something going, or they're ready to start and they have the time free to put the time into to put the roadmap together. This guy called me. He's working full time. He also has a wife with a stage 4 cancer right now that he's taking care of. Yeah, I am gonna love him, serve him, help him through mindset stuff on the call. But look, dude, it's not the right time for you to be completely starting your entrepreneurial journey. It's not the right time for you to come into my program and, for me to ask you for, 10 hours a week of your time. Like, your time is booked. You've got other priorities right now. So, like, let me just do what I can for you today. And then, if you want to come back later and it's a better time in a couple of years, we'll talk in a couple of years. It's not the right fit for everybody. And it has to be the right fit for me. Russ, I have standards. This is something in COD that's very emphasized, and I love that, is I only work with people who, right? Not only do I only work with people who are actually going to get a benefit out of working with me and get a huge ROI out of working with me, but I also only work with people that I love. And what I mean by that is if I spend an hour with you, and by the end of our phone call, I am like on your side and I just really want you to win. Like, that's the kind of client I want. I want to be all in on your success. And if I don't feel
Absolutely.
that way, I'm not making an offer, you know?
No, absolutely. And I think that's a huge part of the problem. So we just did a webinar the other day, actually last night, actually, and we surveyed everybody on the webinar, right? So this wasn't clients, this is a webinar that we did for people who haven't worked with us before.
Hmm.
And what was fascinating is we asked 3 questions. Who here already has a high ticket offer? And about half the people did and half the people didn't. And then we asked, what's the revenue level? And most of the people were between 0 to 10K a month. We had about 3 guys or gals between 0 and or between 50K and 100K a month. And then we had about 3 people doing over 100K a month. But then I asked, how many people in here are successfully selling your programs and services using advertising? And
Hmm.
do you know how many there were?
How many?
Zero.
Oof.
Like zero. Like, it blew my mind, like
Yeah.
zero. And it's crazy that all of these people were completely dependent on word of mouth to grow their programs. Like, they were
Hmm.
totally dependent on referrals, and that's great. But the problem is you can only tap into your network so many times before you start to see diminishing returns. And then every month you're sitting there crossing your fingers going, I hope that the clients show up.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this, Michelle, is that, like, when you have real lead flow, then you can actually be ethical and responsible, because if you're talking to somebody that isn't a fit, you don't enroll them because it's clients on demand. It's not clients every once in a while, right?
Yeah.
But it's like if you're dependent on word of mouth, or the leads are just trickling in. Now you might be in that situation where you're talking to somebody that isn't really 100% a fit, and then you end up enrolling them anyway. You end up taking their money anyway,
Hmm.
even though they're not quite a fit. And I never want anybody to be in that position. I want you guys to have lead flow that is so strong and so robust and so reliable that you can pick and choose who you want to work with instead of having to work with whoever just kind of happens to show up that day, you know?
Absolutely. In the same way that I don't have like a buy now button on my website because I actually need to spend time with you. We are going to be working together intensely. I get to decide as much too. When you have, one sales call a month coming in, you're going to get on that sales call like old Gil from The Simpsons. That reference just made me sound really old, but that the
It's
desperate
still
sales
on.
guy.
The Simpsons is still on.
Okay,
So,
Simpsons is still on, but old Gil,
yeah.
old Gil needs a sale, right? And you're on the phone going like, I need this, oh, what can I say or what can I do? And you're making it all about you, so you're not serving them at that point. You're just in your own head. You're making it about yourself. You're anxious. That sales call's not even really going to go well, probably. We're not even talking about enrolling the wrong person at this point because we're not even talking about enrolling somebody at this point because you just showed up desperate and anxious and weird. And that kind of energy is repellent in the same way, Russ, that if you went out on a first date and spent the whole time going, I need a second date, I need a second date, you're probably not getting a second date, right?
Yeah, or like, let's get married, like,
Yeah,
like, okay,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what are we naming our kids? Like, not sexy. It's not sexy,
right,
right? We need
right,
to go on
right.
a date going like, I got 5 other dates this week, Hey, what you got? What
Word.
are you bringing to the table?
Word. Awesome, you guys. Okay, cool. Look, so the big takeaways I think from today are, look, if you are a coach, consultant, expert, author, or speaker, chances are you're undercharging for your stuff. You really need to be commanding a 5 or 8 or 10K price. If you're working with people one-on-one, not only are you trading time for dollars and limiting your freedom and your impact, but you're also doing something that's totally unnecessary because you could be getting even better outcomes for the clients that you are now if you had a leveraged online group program. And you can create a pipeline that brings people in the door every single day so that you're not dependent on referrals and word of mouth. And you can actually sell those people in a way that respects their agency and autonomy and beautifully sets up that coaching relationship rather than, having to browbeat them and cajole them and do all this like high pressure salesy BS that just doesn't even work anymore. But even when it does work, it already corrupts the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
You really can do this the right way where you have a business that's giving you income and freedom and impact. And if that's what you want, then click the link in the description of this video and book a call to talk to us because we'd love to talk to you about how we can sort of help you make that happen. So Michelle, if there's anybody that's listening and they're kind of like on the fence about this or any of those things, like what would you say to those people?
I gotta say, Russ, like a lot of people probably listening, and somebody who have worked with a lot of different online marketers in a lot of different programs, trying to learn a lot of different stuff, and a lot of it is bullshit. I'm just gonna call it what it is. A lot of it is bullshit. A lot of people don't know what they're doing. A lot of people just jumped on the gravy train, and it's not great stuff that they're delivering. Russ is the real deal. Russ is the real deal. Russ is the guy that took me from making 8, 10K a month to making 100K a month within, I think it was 7 or 8 months. By the next year, I was making 200K months. And Russ was able to teach me in a very paint by numbers, step by step way exactly what to do that without compromising my values or my integrity and allow me to be myself and deliver my genius in a structured way that's a win-win for everybody. So if you're listening and you're out there going, oh yeah, Russ, and Russ is great, but so are all these other people, and I don't know which one to invest with, and everybody says that I'm going to get an ROI. You will get an ROI with Russ if you do what Russ tells you to do. Just follow the system. The system works, and we've both been doing this a long time now. This stuff works.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Michelle. That's amazing. I appreciate the shout out. And
Absolutely.
yeah, guys, if you want to work with us or you want to talk about working together, let's just see if it's a good fit. No pressure, no weirdness. Let's just do a deep dive into your business and you can tell me what's working, what's not working. You can tell me what you're struggling with and I'll tell you what I think. If I think we can help you get things to the next level, we'll talk about it. And if not, I promise I'll let you know. Either way, book that call using the link in the description of this video because we would love to talk to you. Check out the links in the description of this video, guys. I'm Russ Ruffino, and I'll catch you guys on the next video.